Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. On this week's episode, we have Christian Larsen, an artist hailing from Denmark. We talk about adding humor to tattooing, being self-taught, and trying new things. Absolutely great episode. As always, enjoy. Well, I appreciate you jumping on here, man. Been looking at your work, do some really good stuff. I also enjoy your videos on Instagram. They're funny as shit. So
Thank you. I try to make the world a better place, a little joke at a time.
yeah, well, it helps, man. I mean, a lot of tattoo artists are very serious, and obviously you are with your work and what you do because it's phenomenal. But being able to lighten the mood in a way that's actually funny is pretty awesome.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. It's been it has a little bit of a backstory actually, if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
So it actually started with like I need to have something to focus on besides tattooing. Like I've always had like a hobby that I'm like 100% committed to, as with tattooing. So before the whole making funny videos, I was actually considering going into doing stand-up comedy. And I actually did one stand-up comedy show before for like a party for 50 people I was at, and it was really good and it was fun. And then we started doing the funny videos. But well, before that I was doing a strongman and competitive CrossFit and all that stuff. And now I actually found out that I don't need to do like stand-up comedy like for like live shows, but I can just do my sketches.
Got it. That is an interesting story. Comedy and tattooing, you don't hear a lot of people that do both or considering being a stand-up comic.
Nah.
Yeah.
So that's actually just like I've always been, I would say, known for the people that I work with to be the funny guy. And then I just thought I heard a podcast with a Danish comedian, and he was like, well, if anybody like kind of want to try it out, they can come on his podcast and they can come out and do a warm-up for him. And then this woman joined his podcast and actually did a warm-up show for him, and she was terrible, but people laughed for some reason anyway. And I was like, I can do that better for sure. So I heard that episode, that podcast during Stockholm Ink Bash. It's like it takes like 5 minutes, and I was like, I can 100% write a better show than that. So I wrote a comedy sketch. I wrote 20 minutes of comedy material during the flight home from Stockholm to Denmark. It's like a little hour. And then I performed that show 2 weeks later at a local CrossFit gym here in Denmark for 50 people.
How'd it go?
Well, people laughed.
That's good.
That was good. Yeah. People laughed, and I was like, man, I'm gonna do this again for sure. And everybody's having a good time. And then for some reason the whole kind of like I got really like high on like making people laugh, making just having a good time. And then for some reason I can't even remember how it started, like all the jokes started, and it created kind of the character Boy Tattoo, it's your time to shine kind of thing. So I started doing those small quote with videos on TikTok, actually on Danish, and they took off there, and I gained like 12,000 followers, like only Danish people. And then and after that I was like, I asked my colleague, do you think this shit will work in English, or do you think people will be super offended? Because in Denmark, sarcasm is such a big part of like our religion. Like it's mandatory you make fun. Like nothing here is frowned upon, nothing. And he was like, well, it can go either way. You need to make it so ridiculous that people do understand that it's a character you're playing, or it's a fucking joke. And I was actually pretty sure that I would get a lot of hate for it in the beginning, but I haven't got any. Like everybody thinks I'm hilarious, so that's good. At least the people that tell me that I'm funny, the haters, they kind of just keep away.
Yeah, and that makes sense because watching some of your skits, again, it is definitely apparent that it's comedy. Like you do a very good job with that because people in the US do tend to get offended over pretty much everything. So
little bit sometimes. Some of you guys are very, very, very good at sarcasm. I have a bunch of buddies in America. They know it's a joke, but I have tried to like walk in that bear trap where the person I'm making a joke with he doesn't understand that it's a joke, and all of a sudden we are standing there and it's some white what's the word for it? It tends to be way more like serious than it needs to be, and it makes me very uncomfortable.
So awkward, very awkward.
It's very awkward. It gets very, very awkward.
So yeah, man, kind of going to your tattooing. Love your style. It's like you do amazing work. How did this start for you? Like, when did you know you're going to be a tattoo artist?
So it's actually, well, again, I guess it's like kind of funny story, because a lot of people think it's like, oh, it's something you burn for and you live for, it's something you want to do and whatever. But it is obviously it is now, and it's been for like the past 11 years. But I do remember like being, let's say, 6 years old, like starting preschool or whatever, and having that idea that I at least wanted to have like a lot of tattoos. I knew back then I wanted to do that. And I kind of knew also that I wanted to be a tattoo artist, but at the time where the idea got stuck in my head were for completely different reasons, because so one of my good friends, dad, he's a tattoo artist, and me and my buddy, we went and saw him in Copenhagen. And that day he were tattooing a very beautiful girl, and I was a teenager and hormones were like floating. So I was like, man, this is a good ass job. And then for some reason, I don't know why or what it was, but my friend, he told me, yeah, my dad has just been on a holiday with his girlfriend to Thailand, and my family is very controversial, so I've only been traveling like Europe and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, so if I become a tattooer, there's going to be a lot of it would be easier to pick up women, because I was a very awkward teenager. I didn't have any game at all, but I would be able to pick up girls and go to Thailand. That sounds like a good thing. And now I've been to Thailand like 4 times, and I've come to find out it's very, very cheap to go to Thailand. And when you tend to do the horror stuff that I do, there's no girls at all.
Well, at least you got to go to Thailand. You got about 50% of it.
100%. Yeah, 100. Well, that's how it started. That's like, if you ask me like what drove you to become this, it was literally like I fucked up so bad in school. Like, it's not like I was a bad kid or anything. I have ADHD at that point. Like, I had undiagnosed ADHD. I fucking hated school. I didn't want to be a bricklayer or carpenter, all that stuff my friends were getting into. I loved doing graffiti. It just took off from there, and it was like, man, I should really go to Thailand. So I should really become a tattooer.
All right. That's a good reason to become a tattoo artist.
I know.
When you did decide to become a artist, what was your apprenticeship like?
I didn't have an apprenticeship, actually. Again, with the undiagnosed ADHD, I started my apprenticeship when I was 17. And I first got my diagnosis when I was 18 and got medicated for it. Like, I'm one of the few that I consider myself being happy medicated. Like, I couldn't do this shit if I didn't take my meds. Like, I really, really like love the person I am now. But to again, state it as it is, I started my apprenticeship when I was 17. I got fired from 5 different studios because I couldn't do the practical jobs around the studio, because I were like fucking crawling on the walls, and my drawings were good. I was super creative. That's why I could like gain a lot of different apprenticeships, but every time like I could never get past those 3 months. Where you have like your like startup. The last studio I ended up being in, I was there for 8 months before I got fired. Because the shop owner, the tattooer there, he was kind of old school, and he didn't feel I was doing a good enough job cleaning, the old grips for the machines. Mm-hmm. That being said, though, if I do look at it now, I don't see it as me being the problem. But back then, when you were doing an apprenticeship, especially in Denmark, I don't know how it is over in the States or England or how it is or how it was, but here it was like pretty gangster. Like all the shops I worked in were associated in somehow with the bikers, and I was 17, so I got pushed around a lot and used for like, okay, we can just get him to pick up coffee and clean for us, like, and then when we don't need him more, we can just like push him out. So I would say like 100%, like 50%, I could have done a better job for sure, but you're not supposed to treat people the way I got treated in the beginning.
Mhm.
So when the last time I got fired, I sat in my parents' basement where I was living. I believe I was 18, and I was like, man, all those dudes who just kind of like fucked me over, I'm just gonna, give them back, and I'm gonna become the best tattooer I can be. So I actually learned how to tattoo from YouTube in my parents' basement, and then 8 months after, I got hired into one of my like favorite studios in Copenhagen, and that's it. I didn't do an apprenticeship. I got fired 5 times, and then I taught myself from YouTube.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like that story.
Yeah, that's a good story. That's definitely a unique one. I've talked to obviously a lot of artists, and you are the first one that has actually taught themselves off of YouTube, and that does amazing work. I'm sure there's plenty that have taught themselves off of YouTube, and they're like the tattoos you
100%,
see,
bro.
you're like, ugh. But your stuff's pretty, like I said, amazing. How did you get into the style?
So I think I got into it for, again, maybe it's the wrong reasons, and then I kind of relapsed back to it. So it all started with that the horror style. When I was like 18, I thought monsters were the shit, and I could see a lot of, I would say, the people that I associated myself with were getting that particular style. And again, I thought, oh, if I just get good at this, it'll probably be a good living for me. And I think it's fun to draw my own stuff, and I can make some good money off of it while doing my artwork, obviously. But again, with the style I do, back in the days, I weren't that good at it as I am now. So the clientele I would have were more like shady people, kind of like low bar criminals or whatever. So for the first like at least 2 or 3 years when I was doing it, it was like I could see I'm not going to become the artist I want to become, because the clientele I have is straight up like they can't, you know, they suck. They suck. They're A lot of them were criminals, losers, drug users, just low lives. If anybody of you are listening out there, I'm sorry, but you were and probably still are. So it was like, I don't know how it is with you, but for like my mental state, if I associate myself with a lot of losers, I tend to believe, oh shit, is that because I'm myself is a loser? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That being said, though, I think that was something that kind of lived inside my head, that thought. And I had a few guys. It's not like everybody. It was not like it was like fucking 50 people who were just losers or criminals or whatever. But there was maybe like 3 that comes to mind. But those 3 had such a big personality and effect on my life, because when, at least for me, when I have a client and he is a certain way, his energy, like I receive that like every day. If I have a full day session and that dude's an asshole, like my whole day is kind of gone. And I'm like the biggest nerd and like happy person in the world. So if I sit there with like a hardcore wannabe criminal who just wanna, I don't even know where he got the money for the tattoo. I don't know if that's some money he stole for somebody, or he got dealing drugs or whatever. And now he's sitting here and being a fucking asshole. And I just got to take it because I need that money. So I was actually like, I relapsed back to it. So the first 3 years I was doing this style, and then I was like, nah, I'm never doing it. I'm never doing horror again. Like this sucks. And the people who's getting it, at least at that point, were not good people, not nice people at all. And so I went over to do realism, neo-traditional, color realism, surrealism. Like I did everything. and it worked out well for like maybe a year at a time. I would change style, get really good at it. I would continuously win rewards with it and stuff, but I was never like really happy. And then I relapsed back to my like horror stuff because I had a client back in like I can remember like the exact day it happened, because I was supposed to do my client's hand. I was doing like a realistic sleeve on him. I was supposed to do his hand, and he was like, "So I just talked to my job, and they won't allow me to get my hand tattooed." And he was like in the studio, and I always prep designs for my clients. He was like, "Can you do something on my leg instead?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't have any designs like available for that." And he was like, "Can you just draw something? I know like you used to be really good at this freehand stuff. I've heard from like various people." I'm like, "I haven't done that stuff for like 5 years or whatever." But I'm, yeah, okay, sure, I can probably do it. Then I did it, and it just felt right, you know. It was like, okay, I need to. It looked good. It healed really good, and for some reason, because I've been doing so much realism, I didn't needed any references. I didn't need nothing. Like I could just do it from my mind. So maybe the stuff in detail I used to miss back in the days, I had gained doing all my realistic stuff. So yeah, it was like, I believe it were 2018. By the start of 2018, just took off from there, and I was like, okay, if I'm doing this, I'm gonna make sure that the people who are getting it are cool people. And there are two types of people who get my stuff: bikers and nerds.
Polar
Straight.
opposites.
All my clients, like a lot of people think that my clientele is like the hardcore gangster types. They are not. They are computer geeks. They are people who come in and are like, "Can I get a piece from League of Legends, World of Warcraft, or I have this particular reference from this Japanese anime? Is that something you want to work with?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude." So all my clients are super cool. I never tattooed anybody like remotely gangster, and I haven't been doing that for like 5 years. It's been really, really good.
Nice, man. Yes. Sounds like being able to go back to what you're actually passionate about tattooing about has made a big difference.
Yeah, it really has. It really has.
So right now, are you in your own shop? Do you work at another shop?
I work in my body studio here in Roskilde in the Inklink Tattoo. It's actually the city I live in is the oldest still open shop in the city. And I'm not interested in opening my own studio for various reasons, but also the fact that I'm a very good teacher. Like I'm very good at teaching other people how to tattoo and stuff, but I'm not a very good leader, meaning that I wouldn't be able to do the hard stuff like firing people or like running the economy of a studio. And also I really love traveling, and if I were to have my own studio, I want it to be like the best it can be, and it can't be the best it can be if I'm gone like half the year because I want to do conventions or I want to go to Thailand or America, whatever.
That's a really cool thing to hear, because a lot of times, again, that we talk to are studio owners or people that want to open studios. And I think until you've actually been in those shoes, like you don't understand how much work it can actually be. Like it changes, like you said, your ability to just drop everything and go to a convention, or drop everything and go travel. If you just love being a
100%.
tattoo artist, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Like my passion is 100% tattooing and doing comedy, right, as is right now.
So how long have you been doing your skits on, I think it's TikTok, Instagram mostly, is that correct?
Yeah. So with TikTok, I believe I started in February doing it, and then yeah, word February, maybe a little earlier than that. Wasn't last year. It wasn't last year, that's for sure, because I did the comedy skit. A word though. Maybe in the end of last year, like December, I started doing it on TikTok. Also because the algorithm on TikTok is it's very difficult to figure out what people want. Like I kind of know what they want now, and it's really cool. And it was something that came very natural to me. Like I'll do 3 sketches per day, like normally. Like if I'm really on a good roll and I can see that people think it's funny, it gives me energy to want to do more. Today I did 3 that I'm gonna upload during the next week. And I am thinking about going over to doing my sketches in English on TikTok as well, to see if I can get better reach there as well. But yeah, I started doing it in December, I believe, and then now I've done like crossover and started doing it in English. And I think I've been doing that for like 2 months. Yeah.
Oh, very recent.
Very recent. Like it was very weird because I thought it was like, I could see that I don't even think it were 2 months, actually, maybe 1.5 months. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would highly, I would love for you to keep doing it, because again, me and my guys out in the office were watching your skits that you've posted before I came in here and cracking up. They're definitely funny. And one of my favorites is talking about you should pick your tattoo artist not off their artistic ability, but how many followers they have.
Bro, you're gonna love the one I did today then.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. When I'm done, I'm gonna send you the video. You can't, please don't share it or anything, but I'm gonna edit it for you so you can see it. It's gonna be one of the better ones.
I would appreciate that, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool because you take things that are, you know, typically like taboo in I would say in tattooing, like how many followers you have doesn't make you a good tattoo artist, and make fun of it. And it's like perfect. It's like just perfect.
Yeah, I was actually super. I'm not really scared because like I know that it's a joke, and I really mostly just scared that the people I like me. But when you start doing stuff like that, and you do know that your audience, like a lot of my audience on Instagram, is either English speaking or American or from Brazil or wherever. So it's like, okay, I really hope that people can fucking see it's a joke. I don't mean it at all. Like, if you believe anything of the videos I'm sharing, shouldn't be following me, straight up. Like, it's not a good thing. And I have had people who write like some very again, where they think that that's my like political beliefs. So they think that, oh yeah, right on, brother. And it's like, nah, not brother. It's a joke, and you're making a super. So that's actually the only like comments I will delete from my post. If people are giving me shit or being giving me critique, that's fine. You can do that, but I don't want to have any like racist shit or sexist shit on my page. Like that's not what I'm doing it for. It's strictly for like doing the jokes. And yeah, just make it like, it was super cool. Like I want to do it more because I can see that people like now see me as that funny dude from Instagram, or that funny dude from TikTok, and that's really cool. Like again, I'm doing a sketch on that. Like, are you a tattoo artist, but are you mostly famous for being a great artist? Man, you must really be a great artist. Boy tattoo, I'm mostly famous for taking my shirts off and doing funny videos. Yeah. It sounds better when you sell it and not tattooing while you do it, but that's how they go, actually. Like usually when I do the videos at the studio, I'll be tattooing, and I'll have my mind in another place, and I'll ask my colleague Mads, it's like, hey bro, can I just tell you this? Boy tattoo, and then have the sketch, and if he's laughing, I know it's go time. We need to like shoot it before I forget it, and that's how they go.
That's a great way to do it too. Just in the moment when you think of it, it always seems to come off more.
I will forget it.
Yeah, and it comes off more genuine, and I think that's probably part of where they're so funny, man. Because it's literally you working, tattooing, and then it's just kind of a very like, oh, by the way, versus standing there and actually like doing stand-up comedy. Like the delivery is what I love about it, for sure.
Exactly. I've tried like now where I tell you the sketch, but I've actually posted that particular video and people take off on it. So and that's actually what I saw when I was doing my live comedy show from the people that I could see on the video. Like I videotaped it, and I could see if I actually deliver, like I really put like a power to the punchline, people will laugh. It doesn't really matter how good the joke is if you just deliver it correctly. You know, just like Uber Eats, if they're there on time, it's a good day. See, it's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it literally is all about delivery, man. And that's one thing I feel like some comedians, or at least ones that want to be funny, especially on TikTok and Instagram, like the joke could be hilarious, but the delivery is just not there, and it kind of kills the entire thing. So
It
seems like
it really does. You can have like the most basic ass tattoo, basic comedian, but if his delivery is just on point, it's you know, it's just there. You can feel it. And I've seen, like, watched so much stand-up comedy like from America, and I've like know all comedy artists in Denmark, and people who can deliver, they're the ones who will be remembered. People with good jokes but can't deliver, doesn't matter.
Agreed, man. Kind of switching gears here a little bit, since you are in Denmark. You know, they have all these new, and again, this is very much switching gears. I also have ADHD, so my brain kind of hops around a little bit.
It's all good. It's all good.
I would assume you're being affected by all the new regulations and the banning of the ink or the pigments and everything like that.
So of course we are affected by it, but in Denmark it is illegal to tattoo people on the head, hands, and face. And as you can see on my social media, I do not care. So I'm not afraid to say it on a podcast live that if I could describe my life in a movie, it would be Pirates of the Caribbean, and I would be Johnny Depp. I could not care less about the rules. I don't care about it. It's stupid. And I have first recently started working with the legal colors, not because I had to, but because they are the new, well, some of the new blacks that's just come in are the best blacks that I've ever worked with, straight up. And the colors now I'm working with from Extreme, it's a color brand, I believe it's American. I started a sponsorship with. It's the best colors I've ever worked with. So no, we're not affected by it. Well, I'm not affected by it.
Got it.
I had a lot of colleagues who were like thinking about like, well, this is it. We have to close studios. We have to do this and that. But I kind of feel it were mostly like fucking clickbait. It's like, why, like, I thought that the tours were known to be kind of like, you know, we don't care about the rules. We are pirates. Like you know, we do cash, we have gold, we do all the bullshit, and now everybody's like, oh, running for their life because some people, like some government is telling you what colors you can use, and it's like, have you guys ever followed the rules? Why would I begin now?
So, one, good point. Two, I did not know that it was illegal to tattoo on the hands. You said face or head in Denmark?
In Denmark, it is illegal to get tattooed on your hands, neck, and face.
That seems a little nuts.
Yeah, we're the only country in the world where it's illegal.
Do you know what their reasoning is behind that? They just want their citizens to look very proper. I do want to hear it because I'm intrigued.
Okay, so, and this is 100% true. Okay, I'm not making it up. You can Google this shit, and it's funny as fuck. So our last king, Christian, our now queen's father, were known to be very loved by the people. For one thing, he was very good king, very people's person, right? But he was also known for getting drunk in Hamburg and Nyhavn in Copenhagen, banging hookers and getting tattooed.
That's awesome.
I'm not making it up. It's straight up. So here's where it went wrong for the government. So they were afraid that our king would get. He had a lot of tattoos. If you Google the King of Denmark, you will see this like Sailor Jerry looking motherfucker. He's so cool.
Shit.
He is so cool. We have young people coming in to get those tattoos he had, like the old school. Like he had a dragon, like a Chinese dragon on his chest. Like he was super cool. But our government was super scared that our, having a monarchy were, how do you say, like, the king is our advertisement for the whole world. And if our king has, let's say, a crown on his hand or swallows on his neck or whatever, it sends the wrong signal to the rest of the world. You know what I mean? So instead of making it illegal for people to get tattooed while they were intoxicated or drunk, they made it illegal to tattoo your hands and neck and face, because you might regret it later on, or if you had been intoxicated whilst getting the tattoo. You can Google the law. It says that they didn't ban that you could get tattooed drunk. They banned so you don't regret it if you get tattooed drunk.
That sounds like great logic. Yeah, so I Googled a picture of the king. Yeah, I can't think of any other king or president or anything like that I can think of that has that many tattoos.
Nope. We were like, he was like, we have his picture in the studios. A lot of tattoo studios in Denmark have his picture either on the toilet or whatever, like what has him portrayed, because he were kind of like, I would say, how a king should be. It is like, he's like, if he were the king now, I think with all the bullshit going around, he would have had something to say regarding it, because he is actually getting tattooed. While now our soon-to-be king, he has also a few tattoos, but not a lot. But he's also very loved here and very, he's also a people person. But it's not something that is, I think the whole color reach bullshit is very, very a big topic in the tattoo community, as it should be. But for us, at least here in Denmark, they are taking it way more serious now. And I can't, like, all this bullshit I'm saying right now might get me into trouble in 6 months. Let's see how it goes. But I generally believe it won't. I think I'm good.
We can edit stuff out if you want us to. So
nah, we good. We good. Like, I'll say all this bullshit on TikTok as well. Like, we also want to get tattooed with the old colors, but are you afraid because they are illegal? Well, come down to me. I don't care.
So is it only the tattooer that would get in trouble if they tattoo the hands? Okay.
And they have to literally, first of all, the policeman would have to come down to the studio and watch me do it live. Like, he has to catch me like doing it in the action, But the thing, and that's why I find it kind of funny, is not only does he have to catch me in the action, but he actually has to remember the law, because it's a law that a lot of tattooers, live by and know. But I have a lot of friends who are policemen, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't even know that was illegal." So it's like, did you know that in England it is illegal to walk suspiciously with a salmon at the castle?
I did not.
And it's also illegal to gamble at a library.
I did not know that either.
No, because it's fucking bullshit. But those old laws still stand. Like, you can Google all this bullshit, and it's the same here. Like, I had one friend, he got the fine because he was tattooing one of his friends in the face in like a really like gangster studio, like 12 years ago. He was tattooing his mate in the face. The police came down to the studio because they thought it were a weed club, a hash club. And they came in, he was like, "Oh, it's a tattoo studio. We thought you guys were doing drugs or whatever." And he was like, No, I'm just tattooing my body in the face." And the policeman was like, "Oh." And then his body was like, "Isn't that illegal?" And he was just like, he knew that nobody had ever gotten a fine. So he was like, "It is illegal. You should fine me," so he could frame it. but they had to call into the headquarters, be like, so this dude down here tattooing somebody in the face, how much do we fine him? And I believe he got like a fine for 500 kroner, which in do you want the calculation in dollars and pound or what you go by?
Dollars.
Well, he got a fine for like $50.
All right. So not super serious.
Again, like I haven't heard anybody here in Denmark gotten fined with the whole getting face tattooed or hand tattooed, and I haven't heard anybody getting a fine with the whole collar stuff. That being said, though, that I will 100% say, and you can put me down on this, that I did not use the colors before I felt it was, first of all, necessary, but also safe, because I thought that, okay, if you're changing something that you have to put under the skin permanently on people, somebody has to test it first. And I do not care how many of the companies says like, oh, we have tested, we have done this and that. No. So I waited 1.5 years till almost this date before I switched over. And I can honestly say that the new colors they have brought in are super good. Some of the companies, I don't want to name anybody because, it is what it is. I can't, like, it can affect me later if there will be possibilities for new collaboration or sponsorships. But there are some ink brands that couldn't make the new recipe work for sure. But there are some brands who made their ink better 110%. And one of those brands are Extreme. It's better now than it was. The old colors were really, really good. And now we have the Reach colors here in Denmark, and they are better. Like you can quote me on that, and all my colleagues at the studio would agree with me as well. So we go 100% legal now, but if it came past the studio like a year ago, nah, I wouldn't be.
So at least then it sounds like something good is coming out of it. You're actually getting better colors to replace the ones that they don't want you to use anyway.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah. I would have figured that you'd get some terrible replacements, but that's good to hear, man. Because I know a lot of artists I've talked to over in the EU, like it's been a big concern with what they're doing. They banned that green, they banned the blue, and then apparently they were talking about banning one of the white pigments, but it didn't get.
Let's see, because that's true. Like after January next year, I think they're gonna extend it. Let's see. I'll again say that I can honestly say I would rather take the fine than stop tattooing with colors. I don't see the issue.
Yeah. No.
Then after January, if the law has changed and I've gotten into trouble and we're doing another episode, another podcast, I would probably not say that I am tattooing with the new illegal colors. Nothing illegal is going around here.
Definitely.
But I will say this: I'm gonna pay my rent, no matter what. So.
Yeah, and that's fair. Again, it sounds like kind of what's happening over there is, I don't know, maybe about some kind of money or politics, but not really.
I don't actually think it will. Well, a lot of people think it's like a domino effect. Some that they're trying to hit small businesses and they want to tattooers and this and that, and it's like, bro, our industry is so small, they don't even know us. That's why we can get away with what they will be get away with. I'm not saying anything, but what actually did or is happening is that the color pigments, that some of the chemicals are in makeup, and the EU strikes down hard upon makeup. And they were like, hey, some of those chemicals you guys are using in this particular brands, whatever, you need to, like, you can't have that in EU anymore, because we have a lot of rules here what is healthy for us and is unregulated. So that's fine. But some fucking nerd inside that makeup company was like, hey, they're also using those particular chemicals in tattooing. It's not a problem for a big billionaire, like million industry, like makeup industry. They will just have fucking professors like change it like that, and they'll push out new brands or new colors or new makeup that doesn't have that particular chemical in. For us tattooers, it were a big problem because we were pushing that shit under the skin. So I don't think they were trying to hit us. I think it were a domino effect. They want to hit the makeup industry to regulate that, and then they accidentally hit us as well. That is one of the reasons why they don't take it so serious yet. That being said, though, I'm very happy that there's finally some eyes on us, because I don't mind it to be even more regulated than it is, because I do think that now tattooing should and are a luxury. It's permanent and should be treated as so, and it can only be treated as a luxury brand or product if there are some regulations.
Agreed. And I was actually just talking last week to an artist in Germany about this. Like here in the US, you have states where it was illegal to tattoo up until I think it was about 12 years ago. And then you have states that you literally don't even need a license. You need nothing.
Exactly.
And there should be some kind of like federal, like just everyone is on a level playing field. We're all being safe. Like, so it only takes a few people to fuck it up for everybody else.
It really does.
No. So I think that would be a good idea. And I know there's a few associations and stuff in the US trying to start pushing for a federal, at least guidelines that everybody should follow versus just the wild discrepancies in between, different states.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, I think, of course, I'll probably get a bit of a shit for this, but I actually think it's a good idea if we get a bit more, I wouldn't say rules towards the whole tattoo industry, but again, I think it has become, like, if you go back, like, let's say 20 or 30 years, it were the sailor and the gangster and the biker getting tattooed, and today it's the, people working in the bank, doctors, all regular people. The tattooers are no longer gangsters or bikers. They are normal people. Usually, well, here in Denmark, a lot of the people are nerds. I'm just a nerd who want to draw fantasy. So I don't want to be associated with any studio who has any gang, associations or anything. And the more I can, distance myself from that particular, like, those particular people, I can do that if there is more focus from the government on my particular work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like then I will be taken more serious, because the state and the people see me as what it is. It's a very serious, permanent industry. It's not we are here to stay. We're only gonna grow even bigger. We are, like, tattooing is such a big part of social media now. There are so many different TV shows. You have kind of almost sometimes I feel like a TikTok takeover. Everybody is getting tattooed, and everybody thinks still that tattooing is cool. And the more that we push, I would say, the more tattooers who are gaining popularity for being funny. Like, I see a lot of tattoo artists in America as well who are, like, really not only being very good at tattooing, but also pushing their personality. So maybe people who have a lot of stigmas around tattoo artists, that they can be a certain way, it's getting taken away, and people are starting to feel way more safe around us. And I can 100% see and feel that when I go to a convention, people are greeting me more than I have ever been greeted before, because they know I'm funny.
Yeah, it definitely changes the taboo.
It really changes the taboo, one joke at a time.
Yep, 100%, man. I mean, so the first tattoo I got 18 years ago, my mom cried. The second one, my mom cried. Now she's just like, whatever. But when I started working with a bunch of tattoo shops, like, she still had the thought that, tattoo shops are run by bikers and gangsters, like very old school. And then I started to show her the art from the shops we're working with, like yours, and like it's a different level than it was 20 years ago. Now she like, oh, this is like amazing. Like, she's an artist herself, and so it was cool to see that shift in her, and it's cool to start to be able to see it in more and more people.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. Well, all right, brother. I have taken almost an hour of your time. I know it's probably like, was it 10 o'clock there? Past 10 p.m.
Yeah, we all good. If you have any more questions, like I'm not in a hurry at all.
All right. If I could steal like 10 more minutes of your time, I'll do that for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So going back to your tattooing and your style, do you do anything, I guess, ongoing to continue learning?
Oh yeah, what I do to become a better artist?
Mhm.
Well, I would say that I'm very eager to try new things out constantly. Like I'm not as like a lot of artists will like get like one particular machine and they will like, be loyal to that particular machine for their whole career, or an ink brand, or a set style, or believe like, oh, bold will hold, or you can't do that, or blah, blah, blah. Where I think I actually like I've been tattooing for 11 years now, and it is 100% gotten even funnier. Like it's more entertaining tattooing now because I have so much confidence that I do now have the confidence to try all machines, all needles, all inks, and have such good clientele who are allowing me to do so. And I can see my work coming back with different inks, different needles, all that stuff. I'm super affected by social media as well. So I will constantly get pushed by, let's say, if you have artists like Stefan Negur from Russia, uh, Brandon Herrera, David Guerrera, or Victor Portugal, and all those guys, they keep putting stuff online who are inspiring people like me. No matter how much I would try not to, it is inspiring to me, and it's something I take from them and put in my work. Is the same goes from all the video games I'm playing. If I'm playing Harry Potter Legacy, if I'm playing Lord of the Rings, Elden Ring, all that stuff, it's other artists who've done something really creative, and I get inspired from it and want to do it in my tattoos.
So it sounds like with all this outside influence, like your tattoo style has been evolving and will probably continue to evolve, and in
It
5 years
will
probably look different than it does now.
100%. I can see the stuff. The way I used to do textures compared to how I do textures now, the way I do my contrast, everything has like I think a lot of people say, "Oh, it's the same." Where I'm like, "Nah, it's not the same." Like I used to do textures with round shaders. Now I do it with Magnum. Now I do it with liners. Like all this stuff will change. How I do my light source will change. I've just recently started adding spider script. I call it spider script to my work. I've always been very frowned upon to put something that is 2-dimensional into something that is 3-dimensional, and now I've just recently started doing that. So again, my style is gonna change, and I think it will continue to change. I think I'm going into like a dark period now where I want my tattoos to be very effective with all the script that I'm doing to give it more of a graphic look. And then it in a year it might change to like I'm only doing bio-organic, or some things I'm putting way more lines into my work than I've ever done before, because I really like, let's say, Julian Seabird.
Mhm.
No, well, Julian is one of the artists here in Europe. He is amazing. I'll send his profile to you afterwards.
Okay.
And he had really taught me. I did a seminar with him once, and he's like, he will do the same thing every time. 30% black, 30% shading, 30% skin, 30% lines, 30% shading, skin. It's all the same. Black shading, skin, line work. It's the same, so it will hold up for life. And I 100% agree with it. Like I think because I'm actually like doing my stuff more simple now in some way. Like it's just black shading skin. It looks better. It heals better, and it's more heavy. And um yeah, I'll continue to do that. And now I'm just adding more detail. Like it's just I'm not sure. Like I'm 29 at the moment, so I'm very eager to see how it will look in 10 years down the road. Like how my style will evolve, or if I'll be painting more, whatever.
Got it. Yeah. That would be cool to see where your style goes, especially taking those outside influences. And again, I mean, you do, you know, a lot of black and gray, but then the colors that you do put into them just um they make it pop so much. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, very minimal color for most part, but it just stands out so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So having the unique style that you do, how do you, I mean, I'm sure you've been doing it long enough now that people know who you are, they come to see you, but starting
Yeah.
with such a unique style, what was that like? Because normally, I mean, if somebody is just walking into a tattoo shop, they're not going to be looking for some kind of a horror tattoo. You know, they
No.
want, yeah. So how did that go for you?
So I would say, given that, I have a quite large following, I would say, on social media, but I am still a working artist, meaning that I like my friends who have the same amount of followers as me can be booked out an entire year, closed calendar, no DMs, all that stuff, right? I'm a working artist, so if I take you and 9 of your friends, put you guys up against the wall, and I show you my work, I'll guarantee you, everybody of them will say it's a very good, like, the tattoo is very beautiful made, but it's not for me. And maybe 2 of you guys will say, oh, I could definitely get that. So out of 10 people, I will have like 2 clients, and then I'll tell you my day rate, and then I will have one. So maybe out of every 10th person who actually want to get the tattoo, I'll book one of them, and the other 9 will either not appreciate my work. They'll be like, it's really cool, but it's not for me.
Mm.
So I have to, again, I can see that you'll have some tattoo artists, they only need to post a picture of a tattoo. They can post a cool realistic line or whatever style they do, and they'll just gain followers, they'll gain clientele, and they can push their daily rate. And then you have me, and I can see that I have to do, I have to sell my personality as well, because I am doing something that can scare a lot of people, and especially because a lot of my clients are more nerds, and I maybe not come across as a nerd because I'm always wearing, my shirt off, having a gold chain on, looking like a wannabe Mexican gangster. So if I make a stigma, well, not a stigma, if I make, like, show people my personality being funny, it creates that bond between me and the viewer, and they find me, they find like, they are more safe around me. So I have to be funny, sell my personality while being great at doing what I'm doing as well, if that makes sense.
100%.
A little
100%
bit of a
makes
ramble
sense.
there. Yeah.
No, but that makes sense because it's like I said, it is a unique style and
Mm.
it's definitely not for everybody.
100%, 100%. Like, I don't even have it, but, well, I kind of feel, at least here in the north, I'm like the only one who does that. If I put, like, I can say maybe 5 artists around the world who does what I do, we'll have like Stefan Negur, Brandon Herrera, if it's with color as well, and then it kind of stops there. There might be 2 that I'm forgetting, not on purpose, but I'm like, can't really think about it right now. But those 2 come to mind every time. And the one dude is all the way in Russia, and the other dude is in America, and I'm here in tiny Denmark.
Yeah, it is, especially for how big your country is, a very unique style.
100%.
Yeah. All right, brother. Where can people find you on social media?
If you go to Instagram, you can find me under Boye Tattoo, BoyeTattoo. If you go to TikTok, you can find me under Boye Tattoo, BoyeTattoo. If you go to Facebook, you can find me under Boye Tattoo, BoyeTattoo. If you go to Google, don't Google my name. Some fucked up shit will come up.
Well, awesome, man. I really appreciate the time, the insight, and hearing about your life and you getting into tattooing and stuff, man. Like I said, it's
Thank you, man.
not a traditional quote unquote apprenticeship that you had, but hell of a story.
Thank you, man. I hope you got you can use the whatever we talked about, and I weren't rambling too much of your time.
No, that was perfect, man.
Awesome.